Good evening and welcome all to this second event, AIM 2022. It is an outreach event that the division of EECS is organizing to help all the aspiring MTech and PhD candidates and answer your questions that you might have related to our admission procedures and the programs that we offer, and what are the programs that you can take here, and how your academic life and life outside academics should be at IISc. So my name is Sandeep. I'm a faculty member at ECE department. And with me, I have several of my colleagues from EECS division who are here to answer your questions. So to begin with, I will now invite Professor Rajesh Sundaresan, Dean of EECS, to welcome give a welcome presentation. Rajesh, up to you.
Thank you. Welcome to the Aspiring IIScians Meet, AIM 2022. I'm Rajesh Sundaresan. I'm the current Dean of the Division of Electrical Electronics and Computer Sciences at IISc. We have organized the second outreach event to tell you about the exciting opportunities at the various departments in the division of EECS at IISc. IISc started about 113 years ago in 1909. Through these years, because of its faculty and its excellent students, and some of you will become such excellent students, IISc has built a reputation as one of the best schools in India. In the National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF, India Rankings 2021, we are #1 in the university category and #1 in the research category. If you're admitted, you will be coming to a top-ranked institution in India. IISc is an institution of eminence, which brings us significant amount of funding to help us become one among the best in the world. We were one of the first institutions to earn this prestigious Institution of Eminence tag in India. The division of EECS is like a large electrical engineering and computer science and engineering departments put together. We actually have 4 departments within the division: computer science and automation, electrical communication engineering or ECE, electrical engineering, which is the oldest of the 4, and the electronic systems engineering. You can learn more about us by searching EECS IISc on the internet. The division has 100+ faculty members, 350+ PhD students, and 400+ master's students. We also have 10+1 MTech programs. The +1 is at an affiliated center, which is the Center for Cyber-Physical Systems. Next slide, please. I'll now speak about our course and project-based degree programs. We have the Electronic Systems Engineering, Electronic Product Design, Electronics and Communication Engineering, Computer Science and Engineering, and Electrical Engineering. These are core programs running out of the individual departments. Additionally, we also have joint programs like Signal Processing, which is out of EE and ECE, Microelectronics and VLSI, which is out of ESC and ECE, and the AI, which runs out of all the 4 departments. In addition, we also have the Robotics and Autonomous Systems from the closely related Center for Cyber-Physical Systems. You will see other MTech programs which are offered by other departments of IISc at the bottom. These have some EECS content, and many of these might be of interest to you. One of the key specialities of our MTech program is that every one of you will do a substantial project involving 1 year of research when you'll actually work closely with your supervisor. The posters that you see here provide a wealth of information of the EECS MTech programs that I just highlighted. And these have been put up on our social media handles. Just search for EECS IISc on Twitter, and you should be able to get all these details. When you go through them, you will also get details about which gate is required for each of these programs. In addition to the 11 MTech programs, we run 3 flagship research programs in which each admitted student will submit a thesis for a degree. These are our MTech research, the PhD, and the direct PhD programs. The direct PhD is for BTechs or MSc degree holders. If you aspire for a PhD and want to get it over a shorter duration, you can apply directly for the direct PhD if you have written GATE. If you haven't written GATE, you can still apply if you have a 4-year degree from a centrally funded technical institute and you have a CGPA of 8 or more. The centrally funded technical institutes are all the IITs, NITs, IISers, IIITs, and some IIITs in public-private partnership, and of course IISc. I'll now speak about our research. We do cutting-edge research at IISc. For some research snippets, I encourage you all to visit this URL, eecs.iisc.ac.in. If you go to this URL, you will see a recent breakthrough result in computational geometry, and this has come from the CSA department, a work on compressed sensing that won a Best Paper Award at one of the foremost venues in information theory. And this is by a student and her advisors from the ECE department. You'll also see a work on control of dual active bridge-based converters. This is a work, excuse me, done by a stellar student and his advisor in EE, and also a brain-inspired neuromorphic neural network for navigation. And this is from the ESE department. Also, you will see in the middle and the bottom, spreading codes that our department has designed, and these have made it to the NAV-IC L1 signal in the ISRO satellites and many more. I encourage you to visit the webpage and learn more about our research. Next slide, please. Every admitted student is given a scholarship at IISc. In addition, you will get an opportunity to win attractive fellowships. These are like the CNI fellowship, the PMRF, the Cisco Research Fellowship, the CPS Research Fellowship, and so on. There are also companies that offer enhanced scholarships, and these are listed there. These enhanced scholarships can be up to 1.5 times or 2 times the regular fellowship. Bengaluru is an exciting place to be. From being the IT capital of India, it has now become the startup hub. If you go to the next slide, you will actually see many of our startups which have come out of IISc, and there's a good chance you may be part of one of these exciting startups. So here are a few that our faculty and students have started. Mimic on the top left is for endoscopy training. SimYog in the middle on the top is for EMI EMC characterization. Kenome on the top right is for knowledge graphs, polyimage computing for newer generation domain-specific processors, and Raghavera Indic technologies for Indian language technology solutions. And there are many more. EECS actually has deep connects with the industry and R&D labs. Logos of a few are highlighted here. They support us, they work with us quite closely, and they also hire our graduates. On the research side, EECS is at the heart of several interdisciplinary initiatives: the Brain Computation and Data Science Initiative, the Networked Intelligence Initiative, Cybersecurity, Biomedical Informatics, Sensors, Materials Informatics, Quantum Technologies, and Visual Analytics. If you come here, you will get an opportunity to work on one or more of these. We collaborate with researchers from across the world. Here are some states in the United States of America, some countries in Europe, some countries in Asia and Australia. And this is only a subset of the countries that we work with. Many of our students get a chance to present papers and or visit our collaborators in these countries. Here, we actually have highlighted EECS's vision, which is to strive to be amongst the world's foremost in electrical, electronics, and computer sciences by offering world-class education that trains our future leaders in EECS, and by creating breakthroughs that meet societal needs. Learn more about us at the EECSIISc.ac.in website. Next slide. Here are some pictures of our beautiful campus on the top and also of our iconic building. Search for IISc admissions portal on the internet and you'll be able to get to this website and you can apply today. On this picture, you'll actually see 2 pictures, one on the top right, which stands for discovery, and the other one on the top bottom right, which stands for invention and innovation. The discovery picture is a 2-dimensional layer of carbon cut in an appropriate way, which leads to a significant increase in conductivity. And this may revolutionize interconnects on chips. The other at the bottom is a micro-engineered platform for antibiotic susceptibility testing. And it takes the laboratory to the patient. In our quest for excellence at IISc, we make the two coexist. I wish you a very informative session. Thank you for joining us today. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Next, we will have a presentation from Professor Chandra Murthy from ECE department. Now, there'll be 3 presentations about MTech programs.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. So this set of slides is about the MTech ECE program. This is a program that is offered exclusively by the ECE department. Yes, so the ECE department has as Rajesh mentioned, a PhD program, an MTech research program, and several course MTech programs. This presentation is about the MTech ECE course program. This program was renamed and revamped in 2021. So if you join us this year, you will be the second batch of students who will be going through this program. The vision of ECE is excellence in theoretical and experimental research in communications, signal processing, microelectronics, and RF photonics. Okay, so the MTech at ECE is the revamped program is provides a very flexible master's program with coursework that provides a solid foundational training in several topics, including communications and networking, which is the bread and butter area for the ECE department. And of course, the others are also equally important, like digital communications, information theory, machine learning, microelectronics and devices, microwave antennas, RF circuits, and optical communications. In order to qualify for admission, you need to have a gate score in ECE or EE. And after the screening, there will be an interview, and the final selection is based on both your gate exam score as well as the interview marks. The admissions websites are listed here, but you can probably reach there faster by searching for admissions IISc. So this is some highlight about the program. There is a solid coursework component, which is 36 credits. That is, typically courses are 3-credit courses. So this would constitute 12 courses. These courses are divided into core courses, stream pools, and electives. And stream pools are one or more of these topics listed on the left. And electives are courses that you choose to do because you're interested in those topics. There's also a significant project component, which is 28 credits of project work, and opportunities to pursue summer internships. And one very new interesting feature about the MTech ECE program is an exclusive lab course, which gives students a very solid hands-on experience in both coding skills as well as communication system design and techniques. Yeah, there are also PhD opportunities. You can either stay on for a PhD or go elsewhere for your PhD. But nonetheless, the MTech ECE will really give you a solid foundation to pursue these opportunities. So ECE department has very strong industry connect, as Rajesh mentioned. From the division has a strong industry connect, and ECE also has a strong industry connect. Here are several companies that we work quite closely with, and these companies often provide sponsored fellowships for our MTech students as well. And one can go for internships, and many times you get a pre-placement offer based on your internship related work. And there have also been startups by ECE faculty and alumni. So connect with us. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. There are several interesting videos, short clips of work at the ECE department. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Professor Chandrasekhar from EE department, he will present MTech SP program.
Yeah, my name is Chandrasekhar Seelamantula. I am a faculty member at the Department of Electrical Engineering. I'm happy to present to you about the MTech Signal Processing program at IISc. This is a joint program of the Electrical Engineering and Electrical Communication Engineering departments. So these are the web links. You could know more about the program, the history of the program, and the structure of the program, the curriculum of the program. And we also have an attractive poster that highlights various aspects of the program. We also have testimonials from our stellar alumni. Some of them are videos from our alumni, and some of them are messages that they have shared with us. So this is the best part. So you will actually get to know from students who have been through this program what the strengths of the program are and how the program has contributed to their current success. So signal processing in a nutshell is a discipline by itself, and it's also vital in state-of-the-art imaging modalities, healthcare systems, communication technologies, artificial intelligence, autonomous navigation, and so on. We have a huge signal processing presence in the institute, particularly in the departments of electrical engineering and electrical communication engineering. We also hold the premier international conference on signal processing and communications. It's held biennially at IISc. The next conference will be in 2022 in July. The IEEE Signal Processing Society was formed. The Bangalore chapter of the society was formed by the signal processing faculty at IISc, and it has a strong presence in the region. It has promoted several initiatives in the region, and the flagship IEEE Signal Processing Society conference will be coming to India for the first time ever in 2025, and the SP faculty of the institute are playing a key role in the organization. So where do you see signal processing in action? This is the invisible hand of signal processing. We are having a video conference right now. We are able to exchange, we're able to have a conference call like this, exchanging video and images and audio. And quite a bit of this has been made possible thanks to advances in image compression and video coding. And Yves Meyer, a stalwart in wavelet theory, he won the Abel Prize in 2017 for his fundamental contributions, which have gone on to which have contributed to the image compression and video coding standards. Similarly, David Donahoe, the Gauss Prize in 2018 for fundamental contributions to signal processing problems. More recently, the detection of gravitational waves, time frequency analysis, or signal processing of those waves or those measurements played a key role in understanding in detecting the gravitational waves and understanding this chirp behavior in giant time frequency plane. Images of the M87 black hole have been reconstructed thanks to advances in computational imaging and image reconstruction algorithms. The 2017 Nobel in Chemistry, one of the co-recipients of the Nobel Prize, went to an image processing engineer who developed image reconstruction algorithms in the context of cryo-electron microscopy. So this slide is to convince you about the importance of signal processing. When I say signal processing, I'm talking about signal processing in its widest connotations. We are talking about signals, images, irrespective of the dimensions in which these signals reside. The program will be closely administered and monitored by a program curriculum committee. I'm joined by 4 of my colleagues: Chandra Murthy, Prasanta Kumar Ghosh, Sriram Ganapati, Rajesh Sundarajan. 5 of us will ensure that the program is administered successfully, and we will also be closely interacting with the students at various phases of the program. As I said, there's a joint program of EE and EC departments, and it has been running successfully for over 2 decades. And we're proud that this program is actually has become the model for other similar programs in the country. And students have flexibility to do their projects in either EE or EC departments. Qualifying criteria: you need a qualifying score in GATE EC or GATE EE. 70% weightage will be given to the GATE score, and 30% is based on technical interview. Next, the shortlisting will be on GATE score. So our vision for the program is to produce placement-ready graduates and world-class researchers in the area. And toward this end, we have completely revamped the signal processing curriculum. We now have a state-of-the-art signal processing curriculum with a significant emphasis on machine learning. Machine learning is now indispensable for any of us working in EECS, and we have imbibed some of those we have incorporated some of those aspects into our signal processing curriculum. So this is the new structure of the program. The total credits of 64 is split into 36 for course and 28 for project credits. And out of the 36 credits for course, 36 course credits, there will be foundational courses of about 19 credits and specialization module for 9 credits. And the project credits are 28, which shows that we have a significant emphasis on the master's projects. Some of these end up as publications in premier conferences and journals in the area. So these are the foundational courses. We have a mix of signal processing and machine learning courses, including a new course called Signal Processing in Practice that will be completely hands-on. And these are the specialization modules that you can choose to work on. And most likely, your master's project will also be aligned with one of these modules. So you could choose whether you would like to work on speech and language or image and vision, or go fully into communication, or do completely machine learning. Or if you're an electrical engineering student looking at signal processing applications and power systems or power electronics, we also have a module here that will enable you to do that. So our MTech SP students get placed in top companies: Google, IBM, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Texas Instruments, Cisco, Samsung, Qualcomm, DRDO. Some of them are not listed here, in Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, and so on. So we have a new version of the program ready for you. And if you join the program, you will be the first ones to derive benefit out of this new revamped curriculum. I will also post the links in the chat, and feel free to go through those links and write to us if you have any questions. Next. So we look forward to having you join us on an exciting journey in signal processing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. Now, Shishir will present about the Robotics and Automation Systems MTech program. Shishir, are you there?
Hi, Sandeep. Can you hear me? Can you see
Yes.
me? Okay, great. So, yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Shishir. I'm a faculty at the RBCCPS and Computer Science, affiliated with both the departments. So this is the MTech program in Robotics and Autonomous Systems. It was started last year. A very, very exciting program. A lot of things that I would like to talk about. So given the time constraint, maybe let me focus on the most important ones. So let's start with the definition of a robot. So this is from Wikipedia. Obviously now the definition of a robot is much more diverse. But to stay focused, let me just pick this definition from Wikipedia. A robot is a machine, especially one programmable by a computer, capable of carrying out a complex series of actions automatically. So when we think of robotics, we can think of a combination of actuators, sensors, and with some level of complexity in the control aspect, right? So there is some software, and there is some control that needs to be done that moves the actuators. And then there is also some kind of sensing, for example, through cameras or through some other kinds of sensors. So that's what we would qualify as a robot. But if you look at the origins, can you press next? If you look at the origins, it actually came from the word robota, which is actually in Slavic language, it's called forced labor. So we would view, originally we would view robot as something, some kind of a labor, but now we know it's a lot more diverse. So a little bit of the current trend in robotics. We are seeing an exponential growth of robotics right now. Currently at 2020, I don't have the numbers for 2022 because of the pandemic, but the numbers at 2020 is 3 million. So we have 3 million robots, industrial robots worldwide being deployed. And as we can see, the growth is simply exponential. And on the right side, we have this figure, which is showing the average cost, the unit cost of an industrial robot. And we are seeing a huge decline in the cost. And the projection is $10,000, $11,000 in 2024, 2025. So this is a huge reduction in the cost. And that is when I would say that India will play a huge role when it comes to deploying of robots. One is the increased use of robots worldwide, and another reason is this being more and more affordable. Okay, coming back to IISc, what are we doing in terms of robotics in IISc? So we have a lot of labs, we have a lot of faculty working on different aspects. Can you click next? I think it will click one by one. If you click next, that's all 4 videos are running. Okay, great. So on the left-hand side, we have the Asho robot, the humanoid robot, purchased a couple of years back, and we have also developed our custom actuators for this one. On the right side, we have this walking robot, again completely developed in IISc. On the bottom left, we have this flexible robot, which is very, very interesting, a new type of actuation, which is being developed in IISc again. And here we can see it writing the word extreme mechanics below. And on the right-hand side, we have the drone landing scenario. So we autonomously land this drone on this landing pad, completely done autonomously. So we have different departments coming together, faculty from different departments coming together and working towards different aspects in robotics. So we have a diverse group of people who will be offering different types of courses in the program. So again, just to add more flavor to this, so we also work on multi-agent systems, like we have this team of drones. This was in fact developed for a competition called the MBZIRC, the Mohammed bin Zayed International Robotics Challenge, which was held in Dubai. And it's held every 2 years actually. And we have actually participated in that competition, and we came top 10. We were in the top 10 internationally. So we have a huge team who actually go to these places and participate in the competitions. So we are not only focused on ground robots, flying robots, we also work on nano robots. So here is an example of a nano robot which transports a molecule from one end to another end. So this is actually from SENS, Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, and we have faculty who are also affiliated with our center. So we are not only going, macro scale, we are also going nano scale. Okay, so we have also a faculty working on social robotics, where this robot interacts with the humans. In this case, we have children with ASD, and we have these robots interact with them so that we can help improve communication with these types of people. So this is the MTech program. I didn't really want to include all the details. More details will be shown in the last slide anyway. So like I mentioned, this is being offered last year. So this was offered for the first time last year, and this is being offered this year with a lot more quality in this program. We have a lot of faculty working together, and we have a rich flavor of courses, and we have a lot of program features. For example, we have courses focused on firm theoretical foundations, like mathematical techniques, control systems, nonlinear dynamics. We also have courses for hands-on training, like, for example, gazebo, simulation development, ROS development. We also have exciting and entrepreneurship activities through Art Park, which is affiliated with IISc. It's called the AI and Robotics Technology Park. So we have a lot of startups coming out of this company. And not to forget the exciting career opportunities that are coming up every day in Bangalore and also outside Bangalore within the country. And the qualification is as long as you have a BTech degree. There is a typo there. As long as we have a BTech BS degree, 4 years or equivalent, and you have a GATE paper in one of these, you are qualified. That's all I had to say. If you have any questions, please post in the chat window, or we can ask later on when the presentations are over. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Next, we will have 4 presentations about research programs at EECS. To begin with, we will have a presentation from Professor Chiranjib from CSA.
So this is a picture of our department. So can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, so welcome to the department. So our department recently completed 50 years, so it was started by Professor Dishitalu and Professor I.G. Sharma. So this name may not seem much to you, but these, especially Professor I.G. Sharma, has played a seminal role in modern day control theory, and especially has impacted companies like ISRO and DRDO a lot. So the school, the computer science department was started as a school of automation, where the focus mainly was on control. And as you can see at that point, it was played a pivotal role in the country's, progress. So in his honor, we have a memorial lecture where noted Turing awardee like Professor Silvio Micali and Princess Papadimitriou's book, some of you may have read, was here, and other colleagues. So now can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, so the intent behind telling you some of the history is that, AI runs, AI was, introduced in the department much earlier in 1970s. Both in the E department and the CS department, there were scholars who were interested and excited by AI. And in our department, we have 3 different streams. We call theoretical computer science, computer systems and software, and intelligence systems. So those days, we didn't have AI. I mean, instead of AI, we called it intelligence systems. The idea was that using artificial intelligence, can you now develop new kind of more so-called intelligent systems? And that's why you will see a lot more interaction happening between these 3 different clusters. Now on the right, I have mentioned some of the interdisciplinary activities which happens inside the department, where you will see reinforcement learning used for computer programming, or cyber physical systems uses cutting edge theoretical computer science, etc. So as mentioned, we have this MTech research and PhD programs. In our department, we have the usual CSE MTech program. We also participate in the MTech AI program, which was mentioned earlier. And last year we started MTech AI online. So our research programs are again MTech research, which our Dean Professor Rajesh Sundaresan mentioned, where you have to write a bigger thesis, and of course our PhD program. So here's a breakup of our student enrollment. So currently, as of roles, we have 305 students. They're broken up into PhD and MTech research and MTech students. You can clearly see we have a large pool of MTech students, and these students come here because our MTech programs are prepare them well to face life. Prepared them to be entrepreneurs, prepared them to be excellent scholars who went for further studies, prepared them to be excellent engineers who contribute to industry as a whole. However, our PhD program is also very well recognized. It has got global visibility. Students here who are graduating from here have not only made them distinguish themselves not only in India but also in abroad, both in industry and academia. So while our major focus is on research publications, so we publish 100 plus publications every year. So now I will not tell you what areas we work in because the time is too short. I will rather put out these acronyms of various conferences and journals. For those of you who will know, these are some of the seminal places where you aspire to be published in various facets of computer science and AI. And notably, in many of these places, publications from our department were the first from India. So now, just to say that we said that we do very good research, well recognized, etc. But all this research has been done by excellent students. So I'm very proud to say that two of our students recently won the Google PhD fellowship, a very prestigious one. But there are other students also have won various awards. Can I have the next slide, please? So as you see, I've listed some of the fellowship awards where some of our students have won. The point about listing these awards is not that it gives extra monetary benefit, but it's also recognition of the excellent kind of work our students do. And of late, I'm very proud to say that our students have won the ACM India Best Doctoral Dissertation Prize. And apart from that, they also win several best paper awards as their career progresses. And mind you, these are sometimes the best paper awards are won not only by PhD students but MTech students as well, because when they do excellent research and then sometimes they get recognized. So I think I'll not belabor the point, but which our Dean already mentioned, but we have lots of collaborations with leading universities around the globe. Can I have the next slide, please? This also you have seen at least. So our department is extremely well connected with industry. Can I have the next slide, please? So now here we would like to put forward this other not so well-known fact about our department. Our department is definitely a very good publishing house, but our department also has a deep tech entrepreneurship history. I would welcome all of you to look up this notion of Simputer, which New York Times in 2001 said that's the idea from the future. It was a simple computer meant for people, but was not very successful in market, but definitely blazed a new form of computing. So this another company. These are started by some of our colleagues, ex-colleagues. This is on when people said, "Oh, what would computer scientists know about biology?" Now this is one of the leading bioinformatics company now. Now it's called Strand Life Sciences. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So the most interesting part of the well-kept secret is that Wipro Infotech, their first product was developed in our department as a project from Wipro. These were in middle of 70s. So these are some of the companies which you already saw as our faculty colleagues have started. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, so this is one example. While there are several examples of excellent scholars around the globe who have distinguished themselves in faculty positions, but we also have several people who have distinguished themselves as noted entrepreneurs. So one of them is Bharat Mohan. You can look him up at LinkedIn. See, he heads the Sensora Technologies, co-founded it, and you can see he's right now here in Bangalore, and we can ask him, and he can tell you more about how the department's ecosystem has helped him become what he is. Yeah, can I have the next slide, please? So I would welcome all of you to come to our department, check us out. We like to think ourselves that we are in the forefront of cutting edge research. We prepare students by exposing them to very broad-based coursework. And while this is a budding deep tech ecosystem, but hopefully when young minds like you come here, you will definitely have more of people like Bharat emerging from here. Thank you. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Chiru. Next, we'll have Chandra again. Chandra from ECE. He will present about the research programs at ECE department.
Thank you, Sandeep. Yeah, my name is Chandra, and I'm making this presentation on behalf of the chair of the department, Professor K.J. Vinoy. So this is about the ECE department, which is one of the 4 departments of the division. So this happens to be the 75th year of the ECE department, and as a consequence, we've been having a series of technical presentations, symposia, and we will also be hosting SPCom, which Professor Chandrasekhar Seelamantula talked about later this year. The department has several programs, a robust PhD program and an MTech research program. And the MTech ECE program is what I talked about earlier. And we host 2 programs jointly with other departments, the MTech SP program jointly with the EE department, and the MTech Microelectronics and VLSI program jointly with the Electrical Systems Engineering department. And we also participate in the MTech AI, which is an EECS division level program. And very recently, we started an online ECE and AI programs, which is more for industry professionals. Okay, so you see here several research topics. Suffice to say that these are all really cutting edge topics in ECE today, and most of the cutting edge topics in ECE and some of the very classical topics in order to retain our core strengths are all areas of research which are actively pursued in the department. But some specific buzzwords that we are currently engaged in are 5G and beyond systems, AI and ML technologies, quantum technologies, circuits and systems for communications and sensing. Right. So this is the composition of the department with several faculty. And next, push next, please. Yeah. So I won't belabor this point. But we publish, as Chiru mentioned, the ECE department also publishes in top journals in the field, which is testimony to the high quality research that happens in the department. Yes, so we have strong industry connect. Just push next, please. And we have alumni in leadership roles, and we have folks from the industry as part of the industrial advisory board members. So we consult with them in order to keep our programs up to date. We have several funded research programs and grants from these industries, as well as sponsored fellowships, which allow students to receive enhanced stipend during their stay here. And we have internships and placements, and also startups by faculty and alumni. So this is the composition of the department with very strong research, that is PhD program and MTech research program, as well as these different master's programs which have different numbers of students. The MTech ECE is the newly revamped version of MTech CN, and so really the programs ECE and CN are together, but that is the previous version of the program. As again, as Chiru mentioned, one of the ways of knowing how well we are doing is when our students win different competitive fellowships and awards. And here are some examples of this. Several of our students have been selected for the Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, which gives them significantly enhanced stipend while they're pursuing their PhD. Several students have won the competitive Qualcomm Innovation Fellowships and Best Paper Awards at premier conferences. Right, so these are a couple of slides on some of these flagship programs we have in the department. The first is the PhD program, and we have very high quality faculty and facilities, which will allow you to do top quality research and take them to the best venues internationally. In order to apply for the PhD program, you need a BE, BTech, or MSc degree with a good GATE score, which is above the cutoff. However, no GATE score is needed if you have a 4-year degree from one of the centrally funded technical institutes with a certain minimum GPA, that is 8.0. Or if you have an ME or MTech program, you're eligible to apply. ME or MTech degree, you're eligible to apply. And no prior research experience is needed or publications, but it's useful. You must mention it at the time of the interview if you have these. And you can apply to 3 departments. So you can choose ECE even if your primary interest is in other topics. And in the interviews will primarily test analytical and reasoning skills, basic mathematics from your undergraduate degree program, and some exposure to relevant topics that you are interested in pursuing for your further research. All admitted students are provided stipend for 5 years, and there are opportunities for various government and industry fellowships which can enhance your stipend as well. And similarly, the MTech research program, the features are similar, except that it's a shorter duration program. And the degree you get at the end of it is the MTech research instead of the PhD degree. You have the option to upgrade to the PhD during or after your tenure if you do well. The MTech research program students can also participate in placements along with the course program students, and many have bagged even better offers. The MTech program for regular courses, as I already mentioned, there are 4 different MTech programs that the ECE department participates in. And the common to all the programs is that the admissions are managed through this entity called COAP, and you can give your preference for 3 different programs. So there's an opportunity to provide your preference among 3 programs at least. The admission is through GATE, which has 70% weightage, and interviews, which has, and you have solid foundational courses and a 1-year robust project that will allow you to deeply investigate a certain topic. And in fact, it's a good way to test the waters to see if you're cut out for research or whether research is really your cup of tea or not. Many students after the project decide that research is something they really enjoy and continue on for a PhD either with us or in some other institute. Summer internships are possible. And finally, of course, one of the great attractions is that this is at Bangalore, which is the IT capital of the country and has a huge startup ecosystem. So this is the last slide. Please connect with us. As I mentioned earlier, we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we look forward to seeing at least some of you later this year. And we look forward to working with you should you join the ECE department. Thank you very much for your time and wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Chandra. Now, Professor Narayanan will present about EE department.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you're able to hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm G.Narayanan. I'm a professor of electrical engineering. So I'm making this presentation on behalf of our chairman, Professor Uday Kumar. So welcome to this program, and hopefully you've been enjoying this. So I'm going to make a very, very brief presentation on the electrical engineering. So as you can see that this is established in 1911. The institute itself was started in 1909, and electrical engineering is one of the first 2 departments, the other one being one of the chemistry departments. And we are about 110 years old or 110 years young right now. And we've been actively involved in teaching at various levels. And which used to be diploma in the olden days, undergrad in some olden days, and masters and PhD. Now we continue to do that, and we do research, and we take pride in the fact that our research is quite industry oriented, and we have been able to make good contributions to the nation on the technical front, and we hope to continue to do that, and hope some of you will join and continue such contributions to the country. Can you move to the next slide, please? So this slide is something that is probably I would just dwell on a bit. These are the research areas in electrical engineering department. So you will see that there are some topics here which are not traditionally associated with electrical engineering in India. So, you can start with the top right, and you can see that there is power systems and power electronics, which are very traditional areas in electrical engineering. And power system is about your generation, utilization, and distribution of electrical power, as you would know. Power electronics is where you use electronic devices to control power. And power electronics is incidentally, you will find not only in electrical engineering and also in another sister department called electronic systems engineering. And Professor L.Umanand, my colleague, will soon be talking to you from that department. And in addition to that, we have something called high voltage engineering, which is just below that, written below that. And this is a bit of a specialty. Not many electrical engineering departments have strengths in high voltage engineering. This deals with generation and measurement of high voltages, insulation, right? Very high electric fields like lightning studies, and how do you protect aircrafts against lightning. And these are some of the interesting topics that high voltage engineering deals with now. All these power systems, power electronics, and high voltage engineering are covered in our MTech electrical engineering program. So you will find electrical engineering MTech programs in the country, in many other institutions where MTech will be focused on power systems or power electronics or control systems or something. Whereas we have a much broader MTech electrical engineering program. That's something that I would like you to take note of. And that is a mix of power systems, power electronics, and high voltage engineering. You will do a mix of these courses, and depending on your interest, you will focus more on one or two of these areas. So that's one difference that I would like to note. And typically students in this power systems, power electronics, high voltage will come from BTech in electrical engineering or BTech in what is called EEE, electrical and electronics engineering background, where they would have done some power related courses. So below that, you will see that machine learning and control. So what we had is the department had a very good strength in control systems long back, and the School of Automation branched out of electrical engineering department historically, as Professor Chiranjib Bhattacharyya was mentioning about the starting of this. So, control became adaptive control, and it went on, and they went into learning systems. And so we have a very strong learning systems group, and we are part of the artificial intelligence program that other faculty colleagues already spoke to you about that. And to the left-hand side, you have many things which are part of signal processing. And my colleague, Professor Seelamantula, also from EE department, has spoken to you at length on the MTech signal processing program, which deals with this at the MTech level. So all these are research areas. Active, funded projects are there in each of these. Multiple funded projects are there in each of these. So, this is the breadth of the department. So ECE, we overlap with ECE in the signal processing, and we overlap with all the sister departments in machine learning, AI, etc. And as you know, machine learning is practically applied to many application areas now. So these are many research programs, and you see that there are research areas for your convenience are listed out there: smart energy systems, microgrid. Okay, then you talk about renewable energy. So these are some very important areas: electromagnetics, diagnostics, pulse power. These are some important areas in power. You see things like computer vision, neural signal processing, computational imaging, biomedical imaging, speech and image processing. So there are many of these areas covering the lot of breadth of this now. And many programs are there which are funded by the major ministries and other funding agencies. Yeah, so here, this is something that the students have always wanted to know. So where do they find jobs? And Professor Chandra Sekhar spoke about the signal processing program, and he already indicated where they go to. So that's quite applicable here. And artificial intelligence too. In power area, students do go to, in all these areas, students do go to defense research labs, space labs, etc. In power area, they go to power sector industry, power electronic industry. They go to, a lot of them nowadays go to semiconductor industries. That's a very interesting trend over the recent years. And they also go to automotive industry and so on and so forth. So some of these towards the end are a little more on the funding agencies that have been funding many projects that have a great amount of industrial relevance. And of course, many of them do take up faculty positions in India and abroad. So these are some research highlights. So this gives you some set of projects that you can look at. The very first thing is you can call it as 3D image reconstruction. It's an image processing. Then you talk about satellite images. Then you talk about fluorescence microscopy, something related to bio. And you see many projects here which are related to the signal processing side here. And the last one you see that is about Indian Sign Language, right? These are about language technologies. And there is also Raga Vera. There is one of the startups by Professor A.G. Ramakrishnan that was featured in one of the slides by Professor Rajesh Sundaresan. So here you have a lot of research highlights which are in the signal processing kind of a domain now. So let's move to the next slide where you will see, many of these research projects on the other side. Can you move to the next slide? Yeah. So here you can see that it is about medium voltage photovoltaic power conversion. You're looking at 11 kilovolt. And I should tell you that this is fairly high for an academic institution to handle, and probably the only place in the country where such kind of work is carried out now. You have work on these power electronics and motor drives. You have work on battery management, and you can see about silicon carbide converters and smart energy systems infrastructure, which is some practical work on power systems and microgrid. And many of these and electromagnetic launchers, etc., and so on and so forth. And you can see many examples of our research projects in the power area, power systems, power electronics, and high voltage engineering area. So that's almost the end of what is it. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Now we have the last presentation from Professor Umanand from ESE.
Yeah, the last presentation is with regard to the Department of Electronic Systems Engineering, one of the 4 departments of the division of EECS. So let me introduce you to the programs that are available in the Department of DESE. The course program, we have 3 MTechs. One is MTech in Electronic Systems Engineering. The second one is the MTech in Electronic Product Design. And the third one, which is done jointly with ECE, is MTech in Microelectronics and VLSI Design. So these 3 MTechs are for the course programs. I will tell a bit more in detail on them. And the research programs, of course, like other departments, we have MTech Research and PhD. I will come to that later after I give a brief on these MTech programs. Next slide. So first, if you see the MTech in Electronic Systems Engineering, the topic revolves on macroelectronics, embedded systems, FPGA, IoT, TCP/IP, communication networks. These are the topics that are primarily taught in this MTech program. Analog and instrumentation, analog electronics and instrumentation is also a pretty strong element that is being taught. EMC, PCB fabrication, thermal design are learned as skills that will aid you in the design and development of your projects. All the courses, all the topics are strongly hardware oriented, lab oriented. Many of them, majority of them will also have mini projects. So you may get to do some exciting mini projects within the course. Typical projects, all the projects are 1.5 year duration. It means it starts from the second semester, Jan, and goes on up to the following June, so 1.5 years. So typical projects, titles from your past, from the past year students, FPGA-based Monte Carlo simulation, AI-enabled system for using MM-wave radar, asset tracking solution with Bluetooth-enabled tags, multi-core out-of-the-order 64-bit superscalar RISC-V processor design, low-power machine learning architecture for edge computing, so on. So these are the typical kind of projects that you will get to do in this program. So the MTech in Electronic Product Design, slightly different from the MTech in Electronic Systems Engineering. Here also, this is also a macroelectronic program where you get to do on macroelectronics, embedded system, FPGA, IoT, TCP/IP networking still are the primary base for this program. Analog electronics, sensors come in, mechatronics come in, thermal actuator and actuators come in because you're talking of electronic products. One has to go to that extra step to reach a technology readiness level of 4 or 5. So it will also be highly hardware oriented, and the labs and the all the courses will have lab component, and you will get to do mini projects apart from the main project. So there will also be this every Friday, starting from Jan 52 Fridays, what we call as a Friday workshop, through which mechanism you will get to learn how skills like PCB fabrication, industrial design, product design, entrepreneurships, and how to go about making a startup, so on and so forth. All the projects are offered from the industry. The industry is mentoring the students throughout. Typical projects are autonomous differential drive robot, wire crawler robot, especially this is especially useful for transmission lines, fault the monitoring and detection, solar based applications, smart electronics for EV, electric vehicle charging, eco-friendly sanitary pad disposal machine. So several such things which have a very strong industry relation there. And the third one is the MTech in Microelectronic and VLSI Design. This, as I said before, jointly organized by ECE and ESC, and it is administered on alternate years by ECE and ESE. So the even years, ESE administers it, and on the odd years, ECE does the administration. So the topics revolve around the microelectronics levels, that is digital VLSI, analog VLSI, FPGA, nanoelectronic devices, semiconductor devices and their technology. These are the primary topics, and there are several other electives which will be related to this. The projects, typical projects are as displayed on the screen: photonic integration circuits for quantum applications, typical example. Then analog optical computing using nanofabricated structures, phased array antenna design, then exploring the physics of corrugated gate thin film transistors for several applications, optical biosensors, and these kind of things. Now coming to the research at DESE. So research at DESE can be classified as that falling into the macroelectronics and that falling into the microelectronics arena. So in the macroelectronics area, starting from the top right, you have the power and clean energy, as Professor Narayanan already mentioned. We do have a good collaborative relationship with electrical engineering, power electronics and renewable energy systems, mechatronics or electromechanical systems, communication networks, zero energy networks, and FPGA and digital embedded systems. These are areas in the macroelectronic systems where you have several faculty working and doing research in this area. On the bottom side, you have the nanoscale devices, digital VLSI, analog VLSI, neuromorphic computing, and then moving up the ladder, you have the quantum processing and memories, which kind of bridges the micro and the macro world, micro systems, healthcare, EMC, and electronic packaging. So these are the several areas where you have several faculty working on, and then you have possibility to do research in these areas. Generally being classified as SOC and SOC, means system on chip area and system off chip area. Something of interest, of immediate interest, would be the interview process at the ESE. See, you start with the gate rank list, and after the cutoff, you will be called for the interview. And after the interview is over, then you have a fresh rank list made out of 70% gate plus 30% interview, and that goes on to COAP admission process. So the interview itself is bifurcated into two parts. One is the EVIVA, which is composed of standard test design, testing for designing a design aptitude. So each student is tested for design aptitude on these topics, 10 topics: engineering, maths, network, signal systems, electronic devices, analog circuits, digital circuits, all these things, control systems, communication, electric circuits, electromechanical systems, sensors, and instrumentation. These 10 topics, the syllabus of which will be put up on the website. You will be tested for design aptitude. The syllabus will be similar to your GATE syllabus or the whatever you studied in BE, but the way the question will be asked is to check your application capability, how you apply to problem solve the same knowledge. So this will be for 30 minutes, and followed by that will be a 15-minute committee viva. That is, you will take an in-person committee viva, and then in 45 minutes time, you're out of the department. So this will happen for each student, and the detailed process, of course, we will put it up. This is generally, this is the generic process that is followed in the department. So that is all from me for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will start taking questions from the audience. So please use the chat box to key in your questions, and we will answer them. Okay, so I'll start reading the questions from the chat box, and my colleagues will help me out answering these. So in MTech AI program, it is mentioned that we should have done a formal course in C and C++. Do we have to show any certification for the same, like from Udemy, etc.? Chandrasekhar, do you want to take that question?
Yes. You're not required to show any certificate, but it would definitely be helpful if you have gone through a formal course in C or C++.
Next question, as PhD is highly research oriented, how students will be guided, advised in organizing their 5-year PhD program to get most out of it? For students after BTech having little to no experience in research. Rajesh, do you want to answer this?
Sure, I can take this question. If you are a direct PhD student, that is, if you're just out of your BTech and you've joined the PhD program, typically you have to do a few extra courses than what our students who already have a master's will do. So you'll be doing a few more, the number of credits, etc. you'll know once you come here, but there'll be a few more courses. And that is what is called the research training program. And during that research training program, you'll learn about the foundations, etc. And that will bring you to a point where you can start working on a particular research problem. Now, how will you be advised, guided, etc.? That very much depends on the style of guiding by your advisor. Each individual faculty member has a certain way of guiding his or her students. But what we do have is checkpoints where at the end of every year, you make a presentation, you describe what you would have done, and the committee will give you feedback so that you will know how you're doing, how well you're doing, and how quickly you can reach towards the goal of getting a PhD. So that's what I would like to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so nowadays executive MTechs are trending. So for students graduating from these executive MTech programs, what is the criteria for PhD at IISc? Is GATE score required? Rajesh?
Yeah, yes, I can take this question. Now, executive MTechs are MTechs that you would have possibly done as an employee of a particular company. The employee might have sponsored it, or you might have paid for it yourself. But typically, executive MTechs have fewer number of credit requirements than perhaps regular MTechs. Now, we would like you to double check whether your executive MTech is actually recognized by the AICTE as a regular MTech. And if it is, then you will be what is called MTech qualified, and you don't have to write GATE. Otherwise, you would have to write GATE. Now, sometimes in some institutes, to get a regular MTech over and above the executive MTech that they've offered, they will ask you to do a project or maybe some extra courses. That institute from where you've gotten the executive MTech will specify what extra you need to do to be given the regular MTech degree. If you have the regular MTech degree, then you're MTech qualified and you don't have to write it. Now, at IISc, we run what is called an MTech online, which is a completely online program. That is not an executive MTech. It's actually a regular MTech with exactly the same number of credits that our regular MTech program has. And anybody who completes that MTech online is eligible to do a PhD as an MTech qualified applicant. I hope that answers the question. Back to you, Sandeep.
Thank you. So are there any part-time PhD program opportunities in computer science for working professionals? Chiru, do you want to take that?
Sure. So see, IISc has this program called External Research Program, ERP in short. So here, students from industry can do a PhD with us, and that would qualify as part-time. But the requirement is, there are some strict strict requirements of residency. For example, for 6 months, you have to be fully here to do the coursework. That is not to be fully physically present, but you will require that amount of time to complete the rigorous coursework. Apart from that, the rules are very flexible. Please look up this ERP program, and this applies to other departments as well. I would be happy to dwell on this more if it's not clarified.
Okay. So a couple of questions, I'll club them together. So is GATE score mandatory for MTech research? Is GATE score mandatory for PhD after MTech? And how can I enroll to MTech on self-sponsorship without taking GATE exam? So it's all related to GATE. Is GATE required for PhD, GATE required for MTech research? And how can we pursue MTech without GATE? Chandra Murthy.
Yeah, thank you for these questions. Yes, GATE is required for the MTech research program. And after MTech, a GATE score is not mandatory. However, some students do take the GATE exam because if they have a somewhat lower GPA in their MTech, then they may qualify for the interview if they have a good GATE score. As far as I know, it's not possible to enroll to the MTech program on self-sponsorship without taking the GATE exam. Does that answer all the questions, Sandeep?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe there is a question on GATE score being mandatory for PhD after MTech. Would you like to answer that?
I answered that. Yeah, I answered that. I said the GATE score is not mandatory, but some students do take it if they have a somewhat lower GPA in their MTech, and if they have a higher GATE score, then they can be called for interview based on their GATE score.
Thank you.
Okay. So how is the technical course structured in MTech by yeah, so this is related to ERP program. From my understanding, there are no ERP programs for MTech. So it's only through GATE. ERP is only for PhD. Rajesh can correct me if I'm wrong here. Is it conducted remotely in the host organization or in IISc? Rajesh, on ERP programs.
Yeah, so the ERP program or the external research program is only for the PhD. And the candidate has to come for an interview, just like other candidates would come for the regular PhD. It will be scheduled roughly at the same time, actually concurrently with the interviews for the PhD program. If the person has been shortlisted, then you will be intimated and you can come at the indicated time and the interview will be conducted.
And if once they're admitted, they have to be on campus to finish the coursework, and then they can continue with their job while doing research.
That is correct. So as Professor Chiranjib Bhattacharyya mentioned, there is a residency requirement during your coursework period, and it is a minimum of 6 months. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is related to company-sponsored scholarship selection criteria, like from Sony, Citrix, etc., to women PG students for MTech CDS.
I can take that question. So what we actually do is once people have been admitted to that program, they will be nominated for these scholarships. What you have indicated is Sony and Citrix for women. Wide variety of branches, including, for example, AI, ECE, and many other branches. Once you are admitted, you will be automatically nominated if you qualify for these awards, and then the selection committee will identify suitable candidates for these enhanced scholarships. Thank you. One comment, Sandeep, I think you missed a question about the syllabus for the written test in Tech AI. This was asked prior.
Yeah. So I was clubbing. So there are a couple of questions related to written tests in MTech AI syllabus for PhD. So each department, they have their own syllabus, and different modes of conducting the interview. Some of them will have a written test, some of them might not. So what I encourage is and welcome all of you to visit respective department web pages to get more information on syllabus related to written test and the interview procedure. So this holds for all the departments and all the programs that we are talking here today. So related to MTech AI, Sekhar, do you want to add something more?
Would you like me to add? I think Chandra...
Yeah, please.
Okay, so there is, I believe, no written test for the MTech AI program, but there will be an interview. There will be a shortlisting based on that.
So the next one is related to, again, written test for PhD admissions, and will the interview be online or in person? Rajesh?
This is something that will be intimated very soon. It will depend on the situation here at that time. At this moment, our anticipation is that it will continue to be online like in the previous years. But if there is a change, all the selected students will be intimated.
Okay, so can I enroll to part-time MS by research without GATE exam? So do we have part-time MTech research? MTech research is a full-time program. And Rajesh, do you want to add something to that?
Rajesh here. Yes, it is a full-time program. There is no part-time MTech research.
So it's related to the MTech program from CSA. What is the structure and syllabus for written test? Chiranjib, do you want to add more to this?
Yeah, so see, we don't have written test, but we have a programming test. So, so we just, and for that, it should be at undergraduate level, the GATE syllabus and programming things, that should be more than enough. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Mm-hmm.
So for part-time PhD candidates, how many courses are typically required to be done? Rajesh?
Yeah, so for part-time courses, for part-time programs, how many courses are typically required to be done?
Yes.
So the part-time courses would be the external research program. The external research program requirements are exactly the same as the regular program, because at the end of the PhD, the person is given a PhD. We do not say it's a PhD part-time or it's a PhD full-time, it's a PhD. Therefore, the course requirements are exactly the same as for the regular program. The course requirements, the number of credits, there is an indication. There are also some requirements about mathematics courses and things like that. So if I remember correctly, I think you should do at least 4 courses, about 12 credits or so. Thank you.
So a small note. So this is from Professor Vinoy. It's related to MTech research program, and he's saying that MTech ERP is allowed for MTech research program. Let me allow him to answer. Just give me a second.
You want me to answer? So
yes,
I think I just wanted to say that, when they say part-time, I assume they wanted the external registration program. So MTech research is also possible as a part-time sort of as a external registration program. I think it is allowed from the last year.
Okay, thank you. So is direct PhD, what is the procedure of selection apart from initial screening based on GATE score, CFTI students? Is there any written test or direct interview? Rajesh?
Okay, I can take this question. So first of all, there is a eligibility requirement, and the eligibility requirement is that you should have come from a centrally funded technical institute And there will be a list of institutions when you apply that you can check whether you come from there. That's number one. The second thing is you should have scored a CGPA of at least 8. Now, if you have these two, then you're eligible to apply. To be called for the interview, there might be a shortlist and the CGPA may be a little higher. It depends on the particular department. But I encourage you to apply and get the maximum chance of being called in for this interview. Now, once you are called in for the interview, the regular process of evaluation will be carried out. You'll be called in for an interview. If you come to the CS department, there might be an additional written test, etc. So all of those will be just like for all the other regular PhD candidates. And then at the end of, after the interview, a call will be made on whether the offer could be made for the direct PhD. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is for Chiru. Can MSc Computer Science candidate who has a UGC, NET and JRF take direct PhD in IISc? So are they eligible for direct PhD with an MSc Computer Science?
I'm assuming MSc Computer Science means you are like a equivalent to BTech. So under that thing, if you, for MSc research, we require GATE.
This is related to PhD, a direct PhD.
Direct PhD, no, we don't require that. Yeah.
But with MSc Computer Science,
MSc Computer Science, I'm saying if it's a 5-year program, it's considered equivalent to a BTech.
Okay, and then they can apply for a PhD.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So about VLSI in the DESE and ECE, what fabrication facilities and opportunities would be available for students? Have there been any full tape-out work happening there by MTech students? How is the collaboration and relation between EECS and SENS at IISc? Shantanu, do you want to answer this, please?
Yes, 2-3 points. First is that, as you have asked, the fabrication training. Okay, so answer is both yes and no. No, in the sense that the fabrication facility here in IISc that is hosted in our SENS department. Okay, as you probably know, you have asked this question. Now, another point here is that all this equipment, this high-end equipment, not only SENS, we have these two biggest facility center. One is SENS and another is SCRC. So SENS is hosting the fabrication facility and SCRC is hosting the supercomputing facility. And none of this facility, they are free to use. Okay, and they are a bit expensive. And so it is not possible to develop a course because of this cost factor. Like if I would like to design a course on MOSFET fabrication where I will teach from the scratch on a silicon wafer how to fabricate a MOSFET. And if I have like 20-30 students, the cost factor, it is not possible to develop a course on the fabrication. Okay, and so it is no in that sense that there is no such courses. Okay, but yes, in the sense that after the coursework, if you join any faculty member who is doing fabrication, so through that particular project, you can learn the fabrication in SENS. Okay, so faculty member will bear the cost of that project. Okay, so it is yes and no. And it is same for if you would like to do something high performance computing and you would like to use the facility in SCRC, this new Parampara system. It is the same thing. I mean, here we have several facilities, but we have to pay for that. And you are talking about tape out. Again, we have many projects. We do tape out, but probably that is also a huge cost factor. You probably know this thing or not. To we have to send this chip to some offshore foundry for the tape out, and it costs like several lakhs, 5 to 6 lakhs. Okay, so it is not possible to build up a course where all the student, 20, 30 student will make a chip. Okay, but again, if you join a faculty member who can offer you a chip design project which will be associated to tape out. Okay, but tape out, it is a time consuming procedure, and your MTech, it is only in 2 years. Okay, so it is very unlikely in a 2 years time you will be able to design a chip and get it tape out and bring it back and characterize. So that is very unlikely.
Okay, so thank you.
Hope I have answered your question.
Yes. So Vinoy, you want to say something? You've raised your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Professor Shantanu just mentioned. In the last 5-6 years, I have seen at least a couple of instances when we were able to manage, let's say, a tape out using 2 sets of master students from successive batches. So it is difficult, as Professor Chandra just mentioned, but rare instances it has happened also. One other thing I wanted to mention, in the microelectronics program, we now have a lab course as one of the compulsory courses, where you get exposed to some of the unit processes.
Thank you. So can we apply for accommodation at IISc during interviews? Rajesh, do you want to take that question?
Sorry, yes, I can take that question. I think it will be difficult to provide accommodation. We encourage you to find your own accommodation for the interviews. So yeah, no accommodation will be provided. There is accommodation that might be provided for category candidates who have applied under the special category. And for them, I think a separate communication will be sent. Thank you.
Okay. So approximate gate cutoffs, rank scores for MTech research. And there is also a question related to GPA for getting an interview call, GPA in MTech for getting an interview call for PhD. Vinoy, do you want to take that question?
Oh, it varies quite a bit depending on the mode of interview and depending on which department you are applying to, even within EECS. Why I said depending on the mode of interview is that, as Professor Rajesh mentioned a little while ago, there is, if the interview is going to be online participation, then the time slots are limited, and therefore the number of candidates called for the interview will be limited. Whereas if the interview is going to be in person, and if the department is doing a test on the day of, or at the session of the interview, as ECE used to do earlier, in that case, the cutoff will be quite different, because we might be able to call far more candidates for that time. So it is, at this stage, it is slightly difficult to put a number to these things.
Okay. So
maybe Sandeep, any of the other chairs would want to add anything to it?
May I come in and just add something? I think do not worry about the cutoffs. If you think you have a chance, apply and maximize your chance of being called in for the interview. Thank you.
Okay. So a related question, what type of interview can we expect for PhD admissions? Will it be purely research oriented interview, or will it be subject oriented related to the BTech coursework? So again, it varies from department to department. Maybe I can ask Professor Umanand and later on Chandra Murthy to add on some examples about how interviews are done.
Yeah. Yeah. So the type of questions, the nature of the questions, as Sandeep pointed out, that it will be different from department to department. But however, most of the questions, even though the knowledge base would be from what you have studied in BTech, but the level at which the question will be addressed will be at, will you be able to apply them, will you be able to analyze them, will you be able to problem solve with them. So it will move to another layer. From the recall layer, it will move on to a higher layer of knowledge. So it will be trying to test the aptitude that you have in the analysis layer. The topic wise, it can still topic wise, we don't expect that you know the research topics and then you know the advanced topics. We will be testing you only on what you know, what topic that you have studied. But the way the questions will be framed will be more to test your understanding and comprehension capabilities.
Okay, Chandra Murthy, you want to say something about ECE?
I think the core idea of this is exactly as Professor Umanand just explained. The interview for each candidate will take into account the background of the candidate. The goal of the interview is to really check readiness to pursue a rigorous PhD program. So, of course, there has to be an overlap of interest in terms of topics that you would like to study in during the course of your PhD, and the openings available in the department. So to that extent, yes, it will be technical in the sense that we'll make sure that there is an overlap of these interests, but the interview will primarily test you on your background in basic mathematics, and also in terms of whether you're able to think a little bit outside the box, apply things that you've learned earlier to new scenarios, and that way test your readiness to pursue a PhD program. Thank you.
Thank you. So this one is related to the courses. So I remember reading that it is possible to take courses outside the given syllabus in the scheme of instructions for courses from other departments with supervisors' consent. Is this true? So Professor Narayanan, do you want to answer this? Before that, maybe you can also elaborate a bit on the interview procedure at EE.
The interview procedure at EE, typically it's you would have a committee interviewing them, as it is happening in the different departments. In different departments is one point that I wanted to even tell in the other cases also. Every department might have multiple committees, more than one committees, depending on the research areas. That's also, it was good to know, the students to know this. EE department has two committees. There is one committee which is focused in the area of power, and the other committee is focused on system science and signal processing. So the students who are interested in research, MTech research, or PhD, direct PhD, or regular PhD in power electronics, power systems, high voltage engineering, etc., would attend the interview for the committee that is conducted by the power area committee. The other students who are interested in, let's say, image processing, speech processing, artificial intelligence, etc., would go to the other committee. So this is one thing that I would like them to know. So, typically we do not have any further tests. There will be an interview process, and there were questions already asked on what would be asked, what kind of questions would be asked in the other context. So I'll tell something that I heard from my senior 28 years back. He said something very simple. They'll try to find out your fundamentals and whether you're able to apply the fundamentals. This is what exactly my senior told me 28 years back. And I see that it is largely true. And I think, that still is valid. So that's largely what I would, and mostly the focus of the questions would be on the BTech syllabus or the GATE syllabus or the relevant discipline. Is there anything else that you want me to add there, Sandeep?
No, it's fine. So regarding the courses that you can take outside the scheme of instruction of courses, so each program has a certain requirement related to either it's called a core course or a foundational course. And then there are electives. In electives, you can basically pick any course that you want outside the department. So there is enough freedom to choose other courses outside the department under the electives. So this one is related to DESE. So in DESE Direct PhD for
Sandeep, small thing there. So those electives can be from within the department or outside the department. And so students can take any other courses there, any course that they are interested in. And yes, typically the supervisor will not object to whatever course the student is interested in. Yeah. Yes. Just to add that it need not be, it is not necessary that it should be outside the department.
Yes. Okay. So
can I step in to add a clarification related to whether the interviews will be in person or online? This was a question that was asked earlier, and I had indicated that a decision has not been made on that yet. But I now have a clarification and a correction. A decision has been made, and it will be an in-person interview for regular MTech research programs, and also for the PhD, and also for all the regular MTechs if an interview is held. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So in DESE Direct PhD for student coming from BTech with a conference publication, what are the things that is the interview committee looking for from the desired candidate? So conference publication is, you may mention about that, but mostly the interview procedure will be as Professor Umanand mentioned from DESE. It will be of the same format. And you may mention about any conference publication you might have. So Shantanu, do you want to add something to this?
No, you have said, I mean, yeah, you can mention it, but always, I mean, what the other faculty member has mentioned, Professor Narayan has mentioned, in IISc, in any department, we look for your fundamental understanding. Often we find nowadays students are coming up with, there are so many conferences and people are coming up with, some publication, but when we, look at the paper and ask how the work is done and what is the basic theory, many times they are not able to answer it. So that is the key point in any department in IISc, we look for the fundamental understanding of the topic. Thank you.
Okay. So this one is related to the MTech online program. So there are two questions. One is related to the MTech online data science program for, is there an MTech online data science program for self-sponsored candidates? And Rajesh, do you want to answer this?
I will be able to answer it. MTech Online in the Data Science and Business Analytics programs is a sponsored program, which means that the company that you're working with has to have entered into a memorandum of understanding with IISc, and only if such a thing has already been put in place can somebody apply, because you need a sponsorship certificate from your organization. Self-sponsorship at this moment is not possible. We are thinking about it for the future, but unfortunately at this time it is not possible, and you'll have to wait perhaps for a year or two. Thank you.
Okay, there is a related question, Rajesh. So my company has signed MOU with IISc, but the deadlines were missed as the information wasn't circulated to the department. Can I get the letter from HOD company to take up MTech research?
So are you planning to apply for the MTech online? I presume that that is the case. If your company has missed the deadline for the MOU, and if the MOU has not been put in place, you could try to still get the MOU put in place. I request you to contact office.icon@iisc.ac.in and explain the situation to them, and they will take a call. If there is a reason that is beyond your control, they may consider it. I'm not saying that it is possible, but I'm just saying that they will take a holistic view, look at what the circumstances are, and then make a call. Thank you.
And to add to that, we only have MTech online, so we don't have MTech research in an online mode.
That is correct. The MTech research is, there are two modes, as Professor Vinoy corrected us. There is the regular MTech research program, which means it's a full-time program, or you could join as an external registrant, ERP, external registration program. So in that situation, you will be enrolled in the program, but also an employee of your company. But your company gives you leave to come to IISc and complete the research training program. So some amount of residency period is needed for that MTech research. Thank you.
Okay. So this one is related to MTech in robotics and Shishir, what are the opportunities in the academia after MTech in robotics and automation systems? Autonomous systems, sorry.
Oh, opportunities in academia. Okay.
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, you can generally say what are the opportunities after MTech?
Well, there is, like I said, if you're talking about Indian academia, it is still growing, still in its nascent stages. So I'm sure a lot of the institutes in India, including IISc, would be actively looking for new faculty. Right, so that is one way of looking at it. Oh, sorry, this is for MTech, not for PhD.
MTech in robotics.
Oh, okay, so I'm not sure if I understood the question.
I'm assuming that the person is asking about is there an opportunity to pursue PhD, or what are the placements in general looking like for MTech in robotics? So
yeah, after MTech, you can do a PhD in robotics itself. So we at the Center for Cyber Physical Systems, and not just CPS, other departments in IISc have faculty who do robotics research, and they can pursue PhD. That is one option. Another option is to also, of course, apply abroad, right, and also pursue PhD outside this country. And also for PhD, if you have a PhD degree in robotics, then of course there are a lot of opportunities that you can think of, which I mentioned earlier. And not to forget, the demand for robotics expertise is growing in the industry, non-academia as well. It's growing exponentially. We are seeing a lot of drone startups, for example. We are seeing a lot of startups on electric vehicles, where we have to do some kind of autonomy. So it's growing at this point of time, and I think this is the right time to transition if you are thinking of doing into robotics.
Thank you. So this is related to NPTEL courses. So are NPTEL courses, MTech courses, accepted for credit transfer for PhD coursework requirements? Rajesh?
Say again, please. Sorry.
Yeah. So are NPTEL courses and MTech courses accepted for credit transfer for
PhD course requirements? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I honestly don't know the answer to this question.
Maybe I can attempt. I had a brief internet outage. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, are NPTEL courses accepted for credit transfer for PhD coursework requirements?
Okay. At this moment, they are not yet accepted. But there is a plan that we are coming up with, and this is part of the SWAYAM plan. And the SWAYAM plan indicates that each institution should work towards identifying, allowing up to 20% of the credit from NPTEL courses as possible credit requirements. But the institution has the privilege to indicate which courses are allowed, etc. So at this moment, the NPTEL courses are not yet included, or credits from NPTEL courses are not yet taken into account. But it is under discussion, and perhaps in a couple of years or so, we hope that we'll be able to give credit to your NPTEL courses. But at this moment, not yet.
Okay. So this is again, I guess, a question related to MTech online program and then MOU with BSNL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as MOUs are concerned, you'll have to inquire with your own company, or you can reach out to office.icon@iisc.ac.in. But I can perhaps make a good guess as to whether we have an MOU with BSNL or not, because I worked with many of the companies to put together these MOUs. I believe we do not yet have an MOU with BSNL, but it might be best to write an email to office.icon@iisc.ac.in and then inquire if BSNL has in the very recent past put together with IISc.
Okay. So this is related to ERP program. So we'll take a couple of more questions in the interest of time. So this one is ERP program asked for 2 years of work experience by August 2022. Can it be relaxed by a month or two, since the exams were delayed in 2020 due to COVID and most of the students started working 2 months late? Thank you.
Yeah, I can take this question. Unfortunately, this is not relaxable. We know that it is an unfortunate situation for many. In 2020, for example, a lot of things were delayed. But the ERP rule is actually a rule that has been put in place to ensure that the company will be able, you have stayed enough in that company and the company wants to invest in your learning. And this 2 years is the minimum criterion that we have set for this. So it is unfortunately not relaxable. So we hope you will, if this is the situation with you, we hope you will apply next year. Thank you.
Okay. So this one is the last question that we'll take. So what are the tentative dates for PhD interviews?
Yeah, so I can take this question. So typically what we do is we hold these interviews in the third week or the last week of May. The online interviews were held during that period. And I anticipate that the same may be the case this year for the in-person interviews that will be held this year. Of course, with the pandemic, there is uncertainty. So please, once you're shortlisted for the interview, come visit the IISc website often and be informed of what the current and latest situation is. But you can anticipate third week or fourth week of May.
Okay, so Professor Chandrasekhar.
Sandeep, Vinay here.
Yes, Vinay.
So as of now, the date for the PhD interview is the week starting 23rd of May.
Okay, 23rd May 2022.
Yes, as of now.
Okay. So so there was a question related to written test for MTech AI admission, and Professor Chandrasekhar Seelamantula would like to clarify something about it. Chandra, please go ahead.
Yeah. So for MTech AI, the qualifying papers are GATE EC, GATE EE, and GATE CS, and 70% weightage will be given to the GATE score. The shortlisting will be on GATE score, and 70% weightage will be given to the GATE score. There will be an online test. This test will primarily focus on your programming skills, but it may also have other aptitude-related questions, in general. And 30% weightage will be given to your performance in the online test. Okay, there will be no interview. So the final list will be drawn based on 70% GATE score and 30% performance in the online test. So this is a clarification that I wanted to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we come to the end of this session. I thank everybody for participating and also my colleagues for answering all these questions. Before we end, I would like to request Professor Rajesh to conclude this event.
Thank you very much for participating in this event, for coming here and asking all these questions. We welcome these questions and we want to put out the information as clearly and as concisely as possible. Please spread the word. The applications are due on the 22nd of March, and we encourage all of you to apply. If you are in doubt, you apply, and let the committee decide whether you would qualify for this particular program or not. And who knows, you might actually be surprised. You might be called in for the interview and you might make it into the program. So please do try. We encourage you all to apply. And thank you very much for coming here today and asking all these questions. We wish you the very best. All the best.
Thank you. And this concludes the event.